Hi there everyone, welcome to another episode of Make It With Me Monday. Glad that we're all able to gather here every week and check in for a little bit and do a little paper crafting together. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm just going to keep talking and going, and when you jump in, and you can always catch what you've missed when I repost the video. So before I get too far into it, I wanted to show you what I'm using on my additional samples, except for the one that's on camera. So I have the In Symmetry stamp set, which you can find on page 113, and then the Sweet Symmetry Designer Series paper. This is on page 133, and I love these colors. So you've got coral and jade and bumblebee and navy, and I think they're super, super fun. And of course, the name itself, symmetry, means everything kind of goes both ways, matching, no matter which side you're doing, and that sort of thing. So same with the stamp set, the images come together and make, hi Kathy, good to see you tonight. And you can make symmetrical designs with it. Absolutely love that one. That's one I'm going to snag a little more of before it disappears. We are coming to the end of a catalog run. It will be done at the end of April. So, hi Amanda, good to see you tonight. So I recommend that if there's anything you like, especially in the Designer Series paper, almost every single one of those gets retired every single year. So, and then also pay attention to your In Color collection that has Just Jade, Misty Moonlight, Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, and Cinnamon Cider in it. Any of those, you're going to want to get your refills, your extra cardstock, and all that stuff. I'd actually recommend doing it now before the retirement list gets posted, because once that does get posted, it tends to just fly off the shelves and you're going to miss out. So, all right, well, let's get to it tonight. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm just going to keep going and power through here. So for tonight, we have, you needed some cardstock that was 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to be using basic black. And then in that same color, you needed a piece that was 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Then in a second color, you needed a piece that was 4 by 5 1/4. I have Just Jade. And another piece that's 2 1/8 by 3 1/8. And then your Designer Series paper is 1.5 by 3 7/8. I'm using the Here Together set of Designer Series papers. They're the ones that are, everything is black and white based, and I love the fact that you can use as is or then add color as you wish. So it's a really fun set of papers to have. And then a neutral piece that's 2 by 3, and some kind of narrow ribbon or twine. I'm going to be using the black gingham, which is a carryover item. And then some kind of small phrases and images. We're going to fill up our neutral piece. Yeah, Amanda, I think it's, it's just that time. Everything's going around again. And unfortunately, I'm the only one, of course, who has it. That's I don't know how I lucked out there. All right, so let's get going on your neutral piece. So I'm going to be using a couple images from the Here Together. This is a limited edition set. It will be actually, the set itself will be carrying over to the new catalog, but some of the accessories will not. So if you're interested in some of this collection, I'll have all the details listed below the video, and when I upload the samples, so you can check that out. All right, so I'm going to take the image where the pinkies are crossed, and I'm just going to stamp that in Memento. And pardon me if my head gets in the way here, because I'm going to make sure I'm getting mostly on the paper. It's a little bit bigger than the paper, so I might have some that goes off the edge. Oh, I did pretty good. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our hands. So your image can go, you can decide if you want your image at the bottom or your image at the top, and then vice versa for your phrase. So my phrase is going to go at the top, and I'm using the one that says, we'll get through this together. And I'm going to stamp mine in Just Jade. And again, sorry if my head's in the way. All right, so there we go. So there's the we'll get through this together. Now you can decide what you want to do with your ribbon. If you have a thin twine, you can wrap around there a couple of times and tie it off in the middle. If you want to just do a bow or a knot, you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and just run my ribbon around and then end up tying it just in a knot. So I'm going to cut off about that much, like so. All right. Oh, wait, you know what? I'm actually going to do it after I put it onto this piece here. All right, there's my adhesive. So if you're wrapping around, go ahead and mount it to that back side before you do the ribbon. It'll help finish it off easier, and this will stick better to your layer. Okay, so I've got it on my Just Jade layer. And then we'll go ahead and tie that knot. And I like to pull tight and then make it go up the other direction, put my finger in there, and then pull this part through nice and tight, and hopefully we have a knot that sits down really nicely, like so. All right, so trim off what you don't need. Again, if you wrap something around, you can leave it hanging off as much or as little as you want. The card itself will be wider than this, so you can leave some hanging over. You won't run into the edge or anything. Okay, so that piece is done. Now the rest of this is just a quick assembly. Get that out of the way. Okay, so you're going to start with, I'm going to take this out because I have black cardstock and you'll be able to see better what I'm doing. All right, so let's go ahead and fold that in half. Grab your bone folder, give that a nice burnish. Remember, if you used a dark cardstock, you probably want a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of neutral in the middle so that you have a place to stamp and or write. All right, so then the matching cardstock color is going to be layered on top of the other color. So we're going to do something just like that. And I had mentioned that with this layer here, now since mine is black, I didn't really do anything extra to it, but you could texture it by running it through with an embossing folder. You could stamp extra background images onto it, tone on tone or something like that, just to give this a little bit more interest. So that was up to you if you decided you wanted to do anything like that. I have several samples that'll show you what I was talking about there. So if you have the extra, like I said, embossing folders or something like that, you can give this little bit, just a little pop of fun. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and layer that on there. And it's a very small layer because it's only 1/8 of an inch bigger. So just a tiny little pop of color. Now you can decide, do you want to pop that up or are you going to put it directly down? Okay, I'm just going to mount directly down today. Remember, with your dimensionals, you're just adding a little bit of height interest, but if you plan to mill it, you might want to take off some of those layers just because you don't want it to get too thick sometimes. All right, so there is my, whoops, it's on crooked. I moved the cardstock when I set it down. All right, there we go. Okay, so that is your base layer. Now you're gonna go ahead and take your designer series paper and you have a couple options. You can put it here and then this piece is gonna end up over here, or flip it the other way. And you're gonna have that on the right side and then this to the left. Okay, so that's totally your option there. I'm gonna go ahead and adhere this directly down. Again, any of these layers that you want to pop up with a dimensional, go right ahead and do so. All right, get my here together on there. And I am gonna do a little bit of dimensionals on this piece itself. So I'm just gonna put a couple in the corner to lift it off the paper. And always the most exciting part, watching someone try to remove dimensional papers quickly and easily on camera. All right, there we go. So again, like I said, we're gonna do just a little bit of layover here. And voila, there you go. All right, so that is your card for tonight. I will leave it on camera over here. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you the alternatives that I made for you tonight. Like I said, the rest of my samples use In Symmetry. Love this stamp set. Again, it's on page 113. It grows on me grows on me more every time I use it. There we go. The images are bold. They stamp really well in color. Love, love, love this set. All right, so the first one here, I used navy and coral. And I did, here I use a little bit of the twine that comes in the fan, Baker's twine. You get 3 of them together. It's evergreen, night of navy, and a poppy and white twist. And then again, there's that Sweet Symmetry Designer Series paper. And like I said, I took that image and I stamped it tone on tone in the background piece to give it just a little interest there, a little bit of layer. Again, tone on tone though, it doesn't pop out too much at you, but it gives it a real complete look. Remember when you're stamping on one of those, you like to have the images go off the edges. I know, right? Amanda, navy and coral is beautiful. Like I took all of my color inspirations from whatever DSP I was using in this packet. It's just amazing. All right, here's another one. Same thing, Sweet Symmetry. My bases are white and then just jade, and then again the coral for the flower. I did build this flower out of the stamp set itself. So there's the top of it, there's the stem, and then I stamped this one twice up the stem. And I was basing that on this part of the paper. So I was trying to mimic the flower that they show right there. And I just used some linen thread to add a little bit of interest there. The image and the phrase took up most of it, and I didn't want to have too much extra with my ribbon or twine to cover it up. All right, and then lastly, there's this one. Again, I did tone on tone here. I used another piece from that designer series paper. It's got more of a pinky background, so this is Flirty Flamingo and Navy. And again, I used a little bit of that twine, and I just tied tiny little knots and put them in the center of the flowers. So play with the layout of this piece however you like, adding ribbons or whatever, and then around, you know, your images and stuff like that. All right, so remember, this is the one I made on camera tonight. I'm going to go ahead and show you the stepped up version then. I did several different things here. So I actually colored in the hands with my Stampin' Blends. These are the new, I always forget the color, but natural tones, I believe it is. There's a set of 10 markers that have skin tone colors from light to dark, and they're just lovely. Perfect, perfect, perfect for making all kinds of skin tone colors. Actually, they're just so awesome. I'm so glad that Stampin' Up! Came out with those. I used my blending brush to add jade ink to the background of the paper. And I love this paper for coloring. And I did a little bit of an ombre tone. So I kept starting at the bottom and working my way up, and starting at the bottom and working my way up, so that it had an ombre effect by the time I was done. I also took my blend and I colored the ribbon. I don't know if it shows up too much here, but you should see it when I take the still photo later. So instead of black and white, well, that makes it help a little bit. Instead of the black and white, it looks like black and jade. And then lastly, again, I don't know, hopefully this shows, oh, there's a little bit of it. So what I did for the background there, I took my embossing folder. This is the textured paint, and I tapped one side of it with my Versamark ink pad before I rolled it through with the paper in it. So that left Versamark ink all across the paper, which then I covered with clear embossing powder and embossed with my heat tool. So it's almost got like a leathery, shiny leathery look. Oh, there's a good shot of it. It looks like shiny and leathery, especially with this particular embossing folder. I just thought that was really kind of cool. So there you go. That is different ways to go ahead and use that. Oh, and I did want to point out, I usually try to show at least one. I flipped the layout on this one, obviously. So it's not the horizontal part like that. It's a vertical layout. So you can change up the direction that you're using these, all that kind of stuff. So, all right. I know I was probably talking a mile a minute because I wanted to make sure my voice lasted the whole time I got through this. I'm going to go ahead and upload this and the samples, and if you have any questions about anything, you'll be able to find the details for what I used under each picture as it gets uploaded. So there'll be order numbers and where to find them in the catalogs and stuff like that will be on the pages with the samples after it gets uploaded. All right, well, thanks for everyone who got to join me live tonight, and I will see you again next Monday. Have a good night, everybody.